Electric vehicles are better for the environment, at least in the long run. It's why the Biden administration is putting billions of dollars of incentives toward getting more EVs on the road. The goal is to reduce CO2 emissions. But while EVs pump out less carbon than gas-powered vehicles, building them can be an incredibly carbon-intensive process. In our last video, we explained how getting nickel for EV batteries is currently pretty problematic for the planet. According to researchers at MIT, when you include the process of mining the minerals needed for lithium-ion batteries, building an EV has nearly double the carbon footprint as building a gas-powered car before driving a single mile. However, once the wheels hit the road, the gap in their emissions output begins to close. The Union of Concerned Scientists looked under the hood. They found that once their odometer clocks about 15,000 miles, the internal combustion engine exhausted any gains, and their carbon footprints break even. By the time the vehicles reach the end of their lifespan, typically around 200,000 miles, the electric option will have produced 52% less greenhouse gases. But if the goal is net zero emissions by 2050, as the White House has indicated, we'll need to charge up our efforts to get there. For starters, as greener energy continues to enter the power grid, the carbon benefit of EVs increases along with it. Studies anticipate that as more countries turn to solar, hydro, and other energy alternatives for power, electric cars will generate more than 78% fewer emissions per mile than their gas-powered opponent. But what about those batteries? While driving, the savings on emissions and gas money are great, but the beginning and end of a car battery's life are fraught with issues not soon to be solved. Recycling technology is being developed in many different ways by scientists all over the world, but so far none are profitable, and many are energy intensive in their own right. This is a complex problem involving a lot of chemistry, politics, and money. Dead car batteries are already piling up. Recycling them is needed to keep toxic material from leaking into the earth from waste sites, but also to reduce the many costs associated with creating them in the first place. When it comes to extracting the materials going into those batteries, the problems extend far beyond pollution, with human rights abuses topping a list that also includes toxic waste and water depletion. As many as 40,000 children in the Democratic Republic of the Congo work amid extremely dangerous conditions to extract cobalt, another important battery cell component. Violations like these have been found in mineral supply chains the world over, but the supply goes toward producing cars for companies like Toyota and Tesla. Regulations in raw metal mining are still in their fledgling stages. Companies like Redwood Materials are working to reduce transportation costs associated with EV battery recycling and incorporating more repurposed materials into new batteries. Currently, the EU leads the way in addressing both the recycling of EV batteries and the human rights abuses associated with mining the materials to create them. The group has introduced legislation that, if adopted globally, could cut the annual demand for raw materials by more than a quarter over the next 30 years through recycling. The plans include requiring EV manufacturers to be more transparent about where they source materials, as well as compelling companies to mitigate social and environmental risks in their supply chain. These two efforts will go hand in hand in helping to decrease the amount of mining necessary to produce new EVs, while lowering the overall emissions output that making and operating these cars produce. If recycling efforts can lessen demand for EV raw materials, decreasing the chances of more human rights abuses and further environmental pollution, this will help widen the pathway to a healthier planet.
Thanks for watching. In this time of media mistrust, Straight Arrow News is on a mission to bring you unbiased, fact-based reporting. It's the way news should be. Welcome to trustworthy journalism. Join us at straightarrownews.com.